Happy Monday, everybody. We are here at the Daily Show presented by Bowlers Network and, of course, our continued sponsorship from Farmers Union Insurance. We are getting right to it because it was a fabulous, fabulous history-making weekend on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Come on in, Jay. Come on in, Zach. We need to talk about bowling. Before we start, though, may I say, who's leading right now in the Rookie of the Year race? May I hear it, boys?
Yeah,
Who? Who?
No,
Nostradamus over on this end, right?
For the record, it's been, we're at, a 12th of the way through the season, 15th of the way through the season. And our guys all made the cut. So
they did.
It's closer than you'd think.
But let's give credit where credit's due.
Fine.
She called it.
She did. Yep.
I love your optimism. I love it. But let's talk about Brandon Bonta. Prior to him even throwing a ball, great human being, great ambassador for our sport, super talented collegiate bowler from one of the strongest, if not the strongest bowling program in the United States, Wichita State University. Hats off to Mark Lewis, Rick Steelsmith, Holly Harris, and Gordon Vatican for starting such a dynasty. Guys, PBA history. Not only does he run the ladder, bowls great every game, shoots 300 against the greatest bowler in the world right now for $100,000, $10,000 bonus, first major championship, first title. Zach, I mean, my God, what do you think?
Yeah, this was a nutty TV show to start the year. One, starting the year on a major is odd, but you saw some incredible stuff that happened, which was great. Seeing him run the ladder against the gauntlet of lefties. It was 3 different lefties that have been crushing it so far in the Players' Championship, with Spencer, who ran into a lot of problems in his match. First match, it seemed like the left didn't play very well at the ITRC the way it looked, because Jesper and Graham also had their troubles as well on both the short and the longer patterns. But Brandon was able to just keep it in front of him. This was one of those weird situations where the right didn't have much transition. Brandon was able to stay in an IQ 78 and a urethane ball the entire time running the ladder. That never happens for a right-handed bowler. So he was able to make a little bit of a switch on the left lane, but being able to stay on the same ball, stay comfortable. He got his feet under him just quicker than Spencer, which is why he was able to throw a really solid first game and then just kind of coast from there. Kind of showcases that a lot of these younger guys have just a lot of confidence making it to TV because they have TV experience a lot of the time. Wichita being, again, the top program in the nation. I don't remember if he was on one of the championship teams or not, but if he was on TV, and either way, you have a lot of spotlights on you as a bowler. So, yeah, huge kudos to him. Incredible, incredible tournament.
I think that goes back to something we've discussed. Now, you had 3 left-handers on the show, 2 right-handers. That, to me, you can use that to your advantage. Less transition now on that right side. So if you find your niche or you find what's going on, your comfort zone, more than likely it will not break down till you met the other right-hander, which was EJ Tackett. So, Jay, is it an advantage? Is it not an advantage? I mean, you are going up against EJ Tackett.
Watching that match, it was kind of weird in the sense that I'm talking Brandon as he's going along here. It almost looked like the short pattern opened up for him, and with the urethane, which, obviously normally you're thinking that it's going to carry down and get tighter and everything else, and the back ends will, you get the Uraflat, right? The Uraflat 10. It almost looked like it was opening up for him. And so it was crazy, and kind of the fact that they played the qualifying at the Bolero and then the championship match over at the other ITRC, the way it played was entirely different. I mean, obviously they're different lanes and everything, but the fact we ended up with 3 lefties when we started the week and very few lefties really had a look at all at Bolero. The fact we had 3 lefties in the show was, I don't know, I would have never, ever guessed that midway through the week, ever. That was crazy. And maybe that's why they struggled.
No, but you had 3 on the show.
Mhm.
So why are you shocked about that? Why are you shocked about that? And you just mentioned that they struggled. I thought that on the left to right, I don't know, during qualifying, especially when you get to the dual patterns, it was
No, I didn't mean
better.
that. Yeah.
No. What I'm saying is, I do think it gave everyone a little bit more of a even chance because it was dual patterns once you made it to the first cut.
Mhm.
So it changes everything because, again, 2 different patterns than what you just bowled on. So I want to say that it almost leveled the field a little bit. But as the right broke down and had to move in, the lefties could probably stay a little bit further left than move into what the right-handers had.
Yeah. So what I meant by that is
Did anybody see that?
halfway
Yeah.
through the week, I think what were the number of lefties that were even in the top 30, was much lower than normal. And I was talking to Packy there, and he mentioned it too. He said, that this is definitely not a lefty house, and that was in qualifying. So to end the week with 3 of the 5, or 3 of the 4 rather, or was it 3 of the 5 being left-handed, was not something I would have banked on. I guess that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take that a little bit. So let's talk about the ITRC. You went from Bolero Euless to the ITRC. I have bowled there a lot. I just don't even know how many times. It's a lot, right? With Team USA, PWBA tournaments, tournaments in general. The tendency at the ITRC is that the back ends are always tighter. Many bowlers feel like the old saying is, I got to push my ball into the pins. Is that something that we saw on the show? Or is it like you had mentioned, Jay and Zach, Bonta chose urethane, which changes everything because urethane tends to want to hook and slow down, right? So I don't know. Was the change of venue a good thing or a bad thing? I personally, the venue change to me is it can either it give or take 6 or 7, 6 or 7, 6 or 7. It's a give or take because you qualify and you bowl so great in this bowling center, and then they're saying, hey, by the way, you bowled great, but now we're going over here. I don't know. What is your take on that, Zach?
I'm going to be blunt. I hate when they do this. I really don't like when they switch bowling venues. The bowling venue is one of the most important pieces for every tournament because how you match up to that topography, to the breakdown, to all that, to the lane panels is very, very important. That's why you're one of those guys in that top 5. That's where you can put the same exact pattern down in 2 different buildings. They're going to play radically different. That's just how bowling has always been. And switching places like that is like going into the finals and changing the pattern on these guys, where I feel for EJ a little bit. He still shot 230. Did he have a chance in that last game? No. It's hard to beat 300. But switching venues completely from where he was dominant. He crushed everybody all day long, every round. He was just the guy. It was him and a bunch of lefties on top. Brandon ended up sneaking in the last couple of games to be able to weasel into that top 5. And while EJ was so dominant, this would be like, hey, EJ, you did so well. We're going to change the oil pattern on you. You did really well there. Now learn this new one, which he's still a dominant player. He'd be fine. But it's just that little bit of a question mark of, man, this doesn't feel like the same tournament in a lot of ways. And I know every comment is going to be, well, you still had to bowl. Everyone was doing the same thing. But as we saw, the left was not good. The lefties crushed it in match play. The righties it got harder and harder and harder as every round went on. That's why we saw so many righties drop out of that top 5. Andrew was in top 5. Maldonado was in top 5. They all slowly kept dropping as the games went on because the right lane got so tough. The Viper pattern that the righties struck on a lot day one got harder the more times they put the pattern down. So the left had a really big advantage in match play and going into that finals, but then you switch venues on them, you switch venues on EJ, you switch venues on Brandon even, and then it turns into who can figure out the new place best instead of who was able to carry what they did throughout the entire week onto the TV show. One of the hard things with bowling.
I cannot agree with that 1,000%. I fell victim to that. I led the Queens here at Bolero Euless. I led it, and we moved to the ITRC for the TV show, and I lose in one game, which I still always felt it should be 2 games because the leader is always the one that's only lost 1 match in a double elimination tournament. So that's a whole other ball of wax we can talk about at another time. But again, we all had to adjust. But here I am leading a tournament. I go to the ITRC, and I finish second because my carry definitely wasn't as good. I leave a ring 10 in the 10th where I could have shut up the match, spare strike. But again, my carry percentage was probably way higher at Bolero Euless, right? Topography. Again, we talk about that big T word on how important it is venue to venue. And I think one thing we will get is probably a lay down of the land on what the topography of the ITRC is. One of the best training grounds in the United States. But again, I love your philosophy. Jay, it goes back to what you said. The lefties did struggle a little bit. They come over to the ITRC, and the look did not seem as compatible as it did at Bolero.
Yeah. I'll give you 2 schools of thought, right? I'll give you the for and the against. And I'm going to straddle the fence on this one. So the for making the move, it really at the end of the day doesn't matter, because cream will rise to the top. What you're trying to do is in any competition, you're trying to, because you all got to play on the same stuff. It's not like, people are playing on different lanes, 3 and 4, and then the next group is on 5 and 6. You're all facing the same thing. So when you go there, you go there. And like I said, the cream will rise to the top. That's the for. The against analogy would be like saying, okay, guys, let's give a golf analogy. We're going to qualify at Pebble Beach, but then we're going to go into the Sunday round and we're going to go over to Sawgrass. It doesn't make any sense, right? Why with no practice rounds, no nothing. So there's a for and the against. There's a differing view, but if I were to pick one, I would say, hey, listen, we're all playing the same thing. We're all playing the same play. Whether it be the same house, the same lanes, cream will rise to the top. I don't think it much matters. So if there was a specific reason they went there, to promote the center and the museum and everything else, that is totally understood. So I get it. I just words it.
I think first of all, I think it's a great venue. It does bring notoriety to the International Training and Research Center. It brings notoriety to our United States Bowling Congress that is housed there, and it brings notoriety also to the BPAA, which is housed there, as well as the Hall of Fame and Museum. It is a place in which we should hold events. That is our crown jewel. Like Reno has the stadium, South Point has their stadium type setting. This is our crown jewel where we have the Olympic rings. So I honestly think there should be more events there, and even if there's special events, invitationals or top 24s or things like that, because it is such a great venue for bowling that was built for bowling. And I actually don't think we use it enough for that, to publicize all the great things that go on down in Arlington. So that is a great point, Jay. I just want to say that I did ask the old AI about Brandon Bonta. And yes, he won a collegiate national championship at Wichita State University, 2023, and was also a 3-time Collegiate Bowling Association All-American. So doesn't surprise me one bit. Doesn't surprise me that he won a national championship. Wichita has won numerous championships on both the men's and the women's side. With that being said, my next question to both of you. Brandon bowled as if he was a veteran. He didn't look like he was shaking. He didn't look like he was nervous. He was calm and cool. His shots were executed, as well as Spencer, once he got his feet underneath him. Lots of experience at different levels for both of these players. What do you think was their key to the, I want to talk about all the players. I do. Even though the ones, I want to go through the ladder. What was the key to either the success to the match, or what was one thing they probably look back and go, wow, I could have changed that or did this to possibly change the outcome? Zach, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, so going into that first match, Spencer versus Brandon, they were teammates at Wichita State. Bowling against your friend is 10 times easier than bowling against a grandpa, EJ Tackett, someone you don't know that well that has that just aura around them. So that made it a lot easier for a first step for those guys, because once they got locked in, once they got those couple of frames out of the way, I mean, Brandon even whiffed a 2-pin in frame 1. So a lot of those guys just really didn't know what to do, had to figure out, all right, this is how you bowl on TV. We got a lot of people around. Once they got that, they were good to go because they have that TV experience. They've been in the limelight for years. These guys have each been bowling longer than most people probably watching the stream right now, because that's been their life. So this is a normal thing for them. A lot of these kids coming out of college are just being built more for those massive moments on the PBA on TV, because they just don't have that fear factor as much, because they've already done so much in the sport.
I love that analogy. As someone who has had 300 shot at them, I did have 300 shot at me for a title. And I think I had 1 or 2 others. One I'm definite of. I think there was 2, though. I think I have 300 shot at me on TV shows. And again, one was for a title. You can't do much about that. There really is just nothing you can do about that. But if you were to look at the match, Jay, is there something that you think EJ is saying to himself, oh, maybe if I had done this, because obviously 300 was out there on this show. Do you think he's looking back and saying, oh, I should have made a move or thrown it differently or changed balls? Or, I mean, do you think there's a thought process that even entered his mind after that was over?
Oh boy, I probably not. And I say that because when somebody throws a 300 at you, which you know very well, what can you do?
Right.
There's no defense in bowling, right? Other than tackling the guy at the foul line, what could he do? And he was so locked in. And the thing that stood out, I don't know if we can pull up the replay again of Brandon throwing the ball. The thing that really stood out to me is the rhythm that he maintained throughout, right? He just got the ball, and his timing, his rhythm, when he threw the ball, how he didn't pause, he didn't take longer, he didn't overthink. He just got up and threw the ball. His rhythm maintained, and I think a lot of times people, when they get, I don't care if it's league bowling, right? When you get to that point when you're ready to throw a 300 or you're coming into the 10th on the front 9, and they get out of the normal rhythm. And what's happening typically in a situation like that is they get more tense, they get tighter. And that's the thing that stood out to me, is Brandon's rhythm never changed. He just maintained throughout.
So that is a perfect segue to what I want to talk about. Wichita State is known for all-around athletics, mental training, on-lane, drilling bowls, learning bowl dynamics, surface, you name it. They are known for the all-around athletic ability of their bowlers. Zach, how important is that mental training to what we saw yesterday?
Yeah, I want to jump back to what Jay was saying. That's actually a new thing that we're seeing in a lot of sports. So it was something we saw with Steph Curry in basketball, where for basketball, free throw routine was something that people would take a long time on. But what people have been realizing more and more is the longer you take, the more tense you get, the more muscled you become, and the more muscle you use, the more inconsistent you're going to be. So I'm assuming, I don't know Wichita's mental program. I don't know what their coaches are teaching for pre-shot routine and all that, but I'm guessing they don't want you to be spending that much time because they have fallen into that as well, which is a good state of mind to be. So, yeah, as you could see, he wasn't spending much time. He was grabbing his ball, lining up and going, wasn't taking 3 breaths, wasn't really standing there and all that stuff, because that's when the nerves set in. And I'm huge on that camp. I hate standing there for a really long time, trying to have that really long pre-shot routine. It seems like Brandon doesn't like that as well. So I think that was huge. But no, overall, having all of that training that Wichita gives you such a big advantage. That's why some of the biggest school in PBA for alums is Wichita State, because they are better than anyone at preparing you on the men's side. It's just how it's been for years. It's how it's going to be for years, the way it looks right now. So it gives you that massive advantage. They don't really just teach you how to bowl for college. They teach you how to bowl professionally, individually. They're pushing these individual tournaments. I was at a tournament this weekend in Iowa, the Ebonite Winter Classic. St. Ambrose had a ton of their players there. Their coach brought a ton of their players and always brings their players to that tournament to give them that individual bowling experience, because that is way different than bowling in college on a team. So Wichita does something very similar. So I think that really helps set them up in all of the ways of bowling, in every single facet of bowling, compared to just, this is how you bowl in college, this is how you bowl for a team. We don't care about the other stuff.
I want to reiterate that, because if you saw the tape, Ryan Barnes hugged him, Spencer Robarge hugged him first. That right there is all about giving back and supporting your team players. And Jay, before we wrap up here today, I want to, it's a twofold. How important is mentorship? I personally put that very high on the list. I don't care what school you graduate from. If you are given the unique opportunity to gain an education by doing something you absolutely love, that is a privilege. Not everybody gets that opportunity. I think it is your job as that young athlete to help mentor and support the players that you not only bowled with, but the players that are coming behind you. Because without that, it will end somewhere. And we don't want it to end. We want it to continue. So supporting each other, especially at such a young age, I think is super important. So Jay, take me out here less than 1 minute. How important is that to have that mentorship? And who are we going to see in the top 5 next week?
All right, real quick. I'm going to enter your mentorship, and I'm going to ask Josh here, could you please roll that footage again one more time? I'm going to pay attention specifically at the end, and that's what I'm going to ask you to pay attention to. So this is one of the things that stood out to me more than anything of what happened. Okay, so and I'll tell you here in just a second. So he throws a 300, he walks back, right there at this moment. That is the moment I'm talking about. Here you have the #1 player in the world, all right, getting, right, this is a major. And what happens? Who's the first person to walk up, not only congratulate him, but give him a hug and say, you know, whatever they said there, but that's what we need. Right there, that is what we need. EJ, you know, if you're listening out there, kudos to you, man. You are a class act.
Yes.
That to me is demonstration 100%. Right there.
100%. And, you know, we won't even get into the top 5. We will talk about that next show, definitely, because we have so much more to talk about. But what a great start to the PBA season. You could not have written this storybook start to the PBA, to professional bowling, to a young man's professional career. Hats off again to Brandon Bonta for doing something we all wish we could do, winning your first title as a major. Oh my God, and shooting 300. Thank you all for joining us today here on The Daily Show presented by Bowlers Network. Farmers Union Insurance, again, thank you so much. We have more to talk about. Keep watching professional bowling. Please share everything from Bowlers Network, where we strive to be the gold standard for the bowling community. See everybody noon Central Time on Wednesday.